Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, the sit down that Day 26, which is a male R&B group that was formed by P. Devil Combs back in the day, back in the days of making the band. They sat down with Vlad Entertainment and had a little conversation. Broke everybody's hearts because it was very sad what they were talking about, some of the things that happened to them during that time, things that they couldn't even talk about, they couldn't even discuss. Now, I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on really quickly. I'm not really sure why black people keep going to Vlad Entertainment, but whatever. Maybe he asked them when nobody else did if they wanted an interview to talk about what happened. I don't know. Whatever. They went to sit down with him. They, started to go through some questions. One of the bandmates by the name of Q went into detail about a few things while also, saying I can't say everything because, of course, safety reasons. He was talking about how there was an email that was sent to him. Now, I'm not sure if it was Diddy himself who sent this email to him during that time or if he had Roger Bonds send this email on his behalf. But basically, he kept saying it was giving sacrifice, basically. It was very sacrificial. And I quote, a member of R&B group Day 26 has alleged that Sean Diddy Combs, or a member of Combs' inner circle, once sent him a cryptic email discussing human sacrifices, end quote. This email had him so tormented and shaken. He said he literally ran to his family. He ran to try and get help. He went to his family, I'm assuming to tell them what was going on. People want to act like they don't know that this kind of stuff happens in the industry. There have been people blowing the whistle, saying that there are whole rappers out here who, and y'all know I have to say allegedly, will sacrifice their entire mama or their brother or their homie or one of their family members. I can only assume this is something that they probably was saying to him in this email, and he probably got so messed up and messed him up so badly, he was afraid for his own life and the life of the people around him because he was afraid that they were probably going to target somebody close to him. There have been people before blowing the whistle saying that if you want to go to that next level in the industry, there are things you have to sacrifice. They use this term all the time. But people want to keep their heads buried in the sand because they don't want to see that this industry, that these labels, that these managers, these people like P. Devil Combs are as demonic as they are. They don't want to believe it. And that's not a good thing. Embracing ignorance is not a good thing. I'm not saying that it's not normal or okay to be unhappy to find out that the industry, a place that you thought it was some kind of way, is not that way at all. I'm just saying it's unacceptable to refuse to accept the truth. I'm just saying at some point in time, we have to believe and accept, understand that this is how things are in the industry, in the secular industry. It's a secular industry. It's not a godly industry, so why would we expect godly things from it and the people running it? Now, one other thing that he mentioned that was very interesting, he called out Roger Bonds. And a lot of people had an issue with Roger Bonds even before he went and ran over to the British network over there with Piers Morgan. It was talking about P. Diddy and how he witnessed him. He alleged he witnessed him putting hands on Cassie and Kim Porter. And he was saying, Roger Bonds is real funny that you would do that. I have a bone to pick with you because you were around him when all this stuff was happening. You didn't try to stop it. You didn't put yourself in between him and his victims. You watched it happen. And he was saying basically there's a lot of people around him who was like that. There are a lot of people around him who enabled his behavior. They didn't do anything to stop it because they were either too scary or they didn't want to. They wanted to be doing the same things he was doing. So they didn't stop him. They didn't try to report him. They didn't do anything. My thing is, if you're, afraid for your life to say anything, why are you still around him then? Why? Like at some point in time, we got to start holding the people who was around him, not saying anything that they saw what he was doing accountable as well. That also goes for all the other celebrities. Remember, there was one of these lawsuits we went through. I think it was in the Dawn lawsuit where she alleged that wasn't it Neo and somebody else, I can't remember, who was at dinner, saw allegedly P. Devil Combs put hands on Cassie and they sat there and didn't do anything. They could have got up and said, you're not about to hit this woman in front of us, okay? Like, we can't stop you, behind our backs, but you're not about to at least abuse her to our faces, in front of our faces. But they didn't do anything. They stayed quiet and they either watched it happen or they act like it didn't happen at all, even though they knew what was going on. And I don't want to hear any, oh, maybe they were scared. This is what's wrong with our society. People want to say, oh, we should be a community, this, that, and whatever. But how can we be if we're too scared to stand up for other people when they're going through it? Like, you can say you're scared, but I don't want to hear any, well, then why does this happen? Why does that happen? Because we made it that way by not standing up to people, by enabling their behavior, by turning our heads the other way when we knew what was going on. Q basically said, you're up here crying on these interviews about, oh, what you had to go through with P. Devil Combs, or what you saw, or what he did to you. But what about me? What about the rest of the people who he was abusing, who you knew he was abusing and you didn't do anything? And was even alleging his possible being complicit in said abuse. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. And I quote, I understand you're crying now off the trauma that you've seen, but what about the trauma you put me through when I read that email, he asked, beginning to tear up. That's why it's not just Sean that's guilty. They're all guilty. I don't just put the blame on Sean. I blame everybody that's in his circle. They're all minions and they all want to be like him. And if they can't be like him, they try to come against him. If they don't have the money or they can't get it as quick as him, whatever he's doing to get it, then all of a sudden it's like, let's turn on him now. End quote. And I've been saying this. There have been people pointing this out. There have been a whole lot of people around him who enabled him, who participated, or both. And now that he's going down, they all want to dogpile on him. That's basically what he was saying Roger Bonds was doing too. Why say, oh yeah, he did this, that, and whatever, now when you could have said that before? Now y'all all want to dogpile on him to make sure he goes down so y'all don't have to go down with him because y'all know y'all were there enabling him or partaking in the same things that he was. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you have all these celebrities who have been involved with P. Devil Combs, who you know have done things with him, who we saw in pictures with him while they were at these, y'all know I have to say alleged parties, all of a sudden now saying, oh, I didn't go to these parties. Oh, I was just visiting him. I left before all the bad stuff happened. Or they're trying to make it seem like they had no dealings with him at all. All of a sudden now, oh yeah, I remember this one time back in the early 2000s, in the 20-teens, in the 90s when he did XYZ. They're all conveniently coming up with this stuff to throw it on him because it's convenient now. Now, after being asked to go into detail, this is what Q said, and I quote, I'll keep it very short. Things felt very sacrificial. I don't want to sound like I'm a conspiracy person, because I'm not. But when you're under a power, man, it's just, I can't go into details now. But sir, I'll tell you, it felt like some sacrificial stuff was going on. End quote. Once again, he's trying to express it the best way he can. I don't like the fact that he kept asking him to go into detail because if he told you the first time, I don't really want to go into detail. Why would you ask him again? And people keep forgetting that people who are victims like this, both men and women, whenever you ask them details, they have to dig back into that trauma, which unfortunately a lot of times includes reliving it to be able to recall those details. So before somebody gets onto the internet, and I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, and fix their raggedy mouth to say, why didn't you come out before? Why didn't you say this? Why didn't you say that? The first time they went through this, there's no way in the world they were going to be able to say anything. Of course, their whole life and the lives of those that they care about were in danger. That's common sense. We got to understand that. And even after the fact, they still have to dig into trauma that they're probably trying to get help dealing with, or they might not have gotten that chance to do so. They're going to have to relive all of that over again just to tell you for the story of it all. So it's not a good thing to keep asking people to re-dig into that. Now, they want to come forward and express what happened to them because the world deserves to hear their voices. What happened to them? They deserve a voice. These men deserve a platform to be able to tell what happened to them if that's what they want to do. But if that's not what they want to do, leave them be, because it's damaging to keep asking them to bring that up again. Once again, we really messed up people who would like to come forward or express what has happened to them, in these very dark places in the industry because the community society has labeled everything a conspiracy theory. I done told y'all before, that is going to get a lot of people messed up because now nobody wants to believe what's actually happening in the industry because they think it's too far-fetched. They would rather believe the lies of, oh, it's a conspiracy theory and keep their heads buried in the sand than accept the truth. So now when you have people coming out and they're saying stuff, once again, that people don't want to hear, they don't want to believe, now, it's harder for people to get the justice they deserve or to get the point across or for people to be able to listen to what they've gone through because, again, people have gotten complacent with not accepting the truth, burying their heads in the sand, not wanting to believe the very gory and ugly and demonic details of what some people have actually had to live through. It's unfair and it's unjust to people like him, to the people like Dawn from the previous lawsuit. They deserve to be believed. Now, once again, another thing he said, and I quote, "It felt very scary and weird to the point where I ran to get help. I ran to my doctor. I spoke up with my family. I spoke up to people around me because I was like, if this is true and I come up missing or deleted or something, I want you guys to know facts and the truth of what I'm going through and experiencing." End quote. So once again, people have been saying this as well. If P. Devil Combs was out here doing stuff that was traumatizing other men so bad that they didn't even want to talk about it, that they still don't want to talk about it today, that they had to go to their doctor, they had to go to probably a psychiatrist and a therapist, they went to their family because they were scared for their own lives and the lives of their family, and then they have the audacity to say, why didn't the women come out? Like, I'm still hung up on that. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. But this should go to show everybody how bad this situation really is because I believe some people are still not taking this seriously. Once again, not everybody is lying. Where there's smoke, there's fire. If multiple people from Danity Kane, including Dawn, came out and said that P. Devil Combs was a monster, he did XYZ, and these men are talking about what they experienced during the making of the band at the hands, y'all know I have to say allegedly, of P. Devil Combs. Like I said, not everybody's lying. Allegedly, this man was so messed up because of what he endured. Allegedly, he ended up being diagnosed, if I'm not mistaken, with both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. He also said he was dealing with thoughts of self-deletion. It was so bad that he had to get, allegedly, he said he had to get a shot in his arm every month to help him deal with his mental health issues. That's how bad they messed him up. That's how bad he was messed up dealing with P. Devil Combs and the likes of him and individuals like him in the industry. And he still refused to talk about a lot of the really bad stuff that he had gone through. And I don't blame him. And he did say one last thing I want to point out real heavily. He said, I really believe that God helped me through this. That's one thing that he included in there. That God helped him through this. This is why I keep saying to y'all that prayer and therapy, God and therapy. Therapy is good to have. We need that in order to have some kind of way to approach some of these natural, physical, carnal things that we deal with regularly. Although what some people have to understand is there's a spiritual aspect that comes into play when there's deep trauma inflicted on a person. Sometimes some people have gone through something so horrendous, they can't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. But they can pray about it to God silently in their minds. They can take it to God in prayer. And I honestly do believe that there are some things that these people have gone through, these victims, these men in this group, the people like Dawn and other members of that group, other victims of P. Devil Combs. There are some things that they probably will never talk about. They will never tell the world. Although I believe God is the only person who can help them with it because of the trauma that they have sustained from these people. The level of trauma is so bad. Regular therapy is not going to cut it. Talking to a man or a woman alone is not going to cut it either. It's going to take some divine intervention. And it really broke my heart seeing those men cry like that. Nobody should be put through that. Nobody should be put through that kind of trauma. Nobody, man or woman. Although seeing those men cry like that absolutely broke my heart. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. I really wanted to give that man a hug through the screen. But once again, only God is going to be able to help them with the kind of pain that they are dealing with right now. I'm going to say a quick prayer for all the victims, not just the victims of P. Devil Combs. I'm going to say a real quick prayer for all the victims of any kind of trauma for that matter. God, in the name of Jesus, I pray that you build every single person who has sustained trauma from past experiences, people, situations. I pray that you build them up where they've been torn down, strengthen them where they've been weakened, embrace them with the peace that surpasses all understanding, and comfort them in a way that only you can. God, heal their trauma and help them to be able to live a life to the fullest and do your will for their life. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, amen. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.